Like I always say, Doom is a big deal when it comes to fan games and mods, but for all the Doom mods that I've played, most of them still at their core have been Doom. Naturally, when you mod Doom, odds are that the game is still going to be Doom, but with some new stuff added. It's not super often that a mod of a game turns it into a game that is fundamentally completely different than it was originally, but it just so happens that this is the very premise of today's topic. As a game reviewer on the internet, it is my sworn duty to just be as mean and uncharitable towards Sonic games as humanly possible. It's in the contract. Remember Sonic 06? Remember when Sonic kissed a human woman? Remember when that happened? Remember when he had a rough transition to 3D? Even though Sonic Adventure was probably more functional than most 3D games at the time? Seriously though, I've always had a tenuous relationship with this series. I've had some great times with Sonic, and I've had some pretty bad times with Sonic. Even when it comes to the lesser side of his games, I feel strongly that I wouldn't be able to live without it. I just feel like there would be something missing if Sonic wasn't around anymore. I've always heard good things about this mod. This is one that I've seen show up in my Twitter feed every now and again for a while, and I've always wanted to check it out. I've seen people say stuff like it's actually more polished and functional than actual 3D Sonic games, which always makes me laugh. I've also heard people say that that isn't true at all, and that the people saying that are evil reptiles that just want to destroy Sonic on orders from Aaron Hansen and Donkey. After playing the game myself, I can confirm that maybe about 40% of that is true. You gotta remember that Sonic's fanbase is one that can never agree on anything. They are so fragmented, so angry, and so damaged that they haven't known peace in years. So in the world of Sonic the Hedgehog, there are no right opinions, only wrong opinions, which is all of them. That's right, you're wrong. Sonic Roboblast 2 is of course a 3D platformer fan game of Sonic made using a modified Doom engine. Instead of using an existing Sonic game as a template, this feels more like a unique and original idea made from pieces of the existing titles. I think the term 3D Sonic carries certain expectations with it that are very distinct from 2D Sonic. But with Roboblast, it feels like they were trying to translate the Genesis titles into a fully 3D thing, rather than make a 3D Sonic, and for my money, I think they did a good job. Everything you expect from the original trilogy is there, roller coaster-like levels full of ramps and loops to make you feel like a badass just for playing the game normally. Sprawling environments with 18 different pathways and bonus stages for Chaos Emeralds. When I first tried to play this, I was so confused and frustrated, but once I got the hang of it, it was awesome. Flying through the rings and orbs like a god amongst golden hedgehogs in stunning 3D was all that I ever wanted, and is probably more fun than the bonus stages in the actual Genesis games. Although the core gameplay involves running and jumping through deadly environments, the game also shakes it up a little, like this rolling ball thing from Mario Galaxy, and even minecart levels like Donkey Kong Country. Sonic Roboblast 2 gives you the option of playing as Sonic, Tails, or Sonic and Tails. I picked Sonic and Tails, which admittedly is basically easy mode. If you hit a platforming section that's really tricky and precise, you can use Tails to basically skip it. Boss battles. Robotnik is back on his bullshit, and it is up to you to dash into him and kick his big ass to the Eggland where he came from. There's this dickhead boss fight where he swings these spiky balls around and you have to jump over them to press these buttons to expose him so you can attack him, but every time you do it, he destroys a part of the level like he's Bowser until you're jumping around this pit of death over the balls onto the button. It is a dickhead level. There's also this guy Fang, and I am about to expose myself as a fake Sonic fan because I did not have a clue this guy existed before playing this game. Graphically, the game is very pretty. Sonic Roboblast 2 is full of vibrant color palettes and expressive animation. Every world has a different theme, and they are all brought to life with beautiful sprite work and layered design. And then you stumble upon a bonfire from Dark Souls. Seriously. It is worth noting that there are all kinds of graphical options for this game. You can add texture filtering, and the game even contains 3D models for everything, but after trying them out, nothing looks as appealing as sprites and pixels. It's also got some pretty banger music by Crush 40's cousin, not Crush 40. 3D platformers are hard to make. There are so many vectors for failure and collapse that it's a miracle that any of them work as well as they do. For Sonic, it's even worse because he has the additional obligation to run super fast. It doesn't matter what else you do to Sonic, that is the one thing that you cannot compromise under any circumstances. I mean, it's literally in his name. Come hell, fire, or holy water, that man must go fast. I feel like as a direct result of that obligation, the 3D Sonic games have always had a number of common threads that make them so frustrating a lot of the time. The acceleration and momentum means that it is very easy by being slightly off in any way to send yourself flying off a cliff or causing the player to panic and overcorrect, at which point they fly off the other side of the cliff. Sonic can get rough when it demands precision because a lot of the time it feels like the mechanics weren't really designed for precision. The camera is also a big pain in the ass. Sonic Roboblast doesn't fix all of these problems, nor did I really expect it to, but unlike the actual games, I really did feel like I was getting better as I kept playing. Somewhat. There are still parts as I pushed forward that I found to be downright infuriating. I think for me, the game started to get rough as the pitfalls started becoming more common. This is why they let you cheat by using tails. I cannot get too upset about this game because a lot of the beef I have with it is just regular Sonic things, which a lot of people don't seem to mind, which, scientifically speaking, suggests that it's not an objective flaw. Sonic has always been a tricky game to talk about because the line between the game being a dick and the player being a dumbass can often be blurry. A lot of the deaths that I have in Sonic games are technically because I didn't do the right thing, but the game can be so sensitive and volatile that it's way too easy to do the wrong thing. It's definitely partially my fault, and there's definitely a learning curve to this game to say the least, but I would be remiss if I didn't remind you all that I beat Dark Souls 1, which means I can't be called a casual gamer. It's illegal. A major difficulty Sonic games have always had is trying to find the balance between player agency and automation. Because Sonic is so fast, the games have to be able to contain him. It is very easy for things to go wrong in Sonic because he runs at 3,000 astronomical units per millisecond, and as a result, the games often have to take control away from the player because the average gamer simply doesn't have the reflexes or coordination to handle the full freedom in a world under Eggman's regime. Roboblast, on the other hand, has relatively little automation for better or for worse, so many environmental things that are supposed to move you from A to B just way overshoot you to the point that it is very difficult to correct on the fly. On the flip side, you have all the freedom in the world to backtrack and explore these huge labyrinthine levels, which adds a whole new dynamic. I think in my case, I had the most fun when I was exploring the world for secrets. Sonic Roboblast 2 can be frustrating at times, but overall I think it's a refreshing and rewarding game that should definitely be checked out if you're a fan of Sonic or just want something completely different than what you're used to. That was definitely the situation for me. Even though I'm kinda sort of a Sonic fan, I was mostly interested in the fan game because it's very much unlike any of the games I played previously. But any way you look at it, it's really cool to have. But don't forget to tune in for tomorrow's video. Can you guess what it is? I can't give it away, but it's gonna be big. As big as a planet, at least. Maybe even 2 planets. Or 5. Merry summer, y'all.